Hi lads, before we start the video today, I just want to say, make sure you go and check out Dina Bean's video over on his channel of the behind the scenes of the MIDI YouTubers rides shoot I did a while back. Make sure that you say Payonos sent you in the comments, and if you prove it to me that you've done that on Twitter, I'll even give you a cheeky follow. Cheers and enjoy the video. Hello lads, and welcome to a new video, and today we're going to be talking about if front wheel drive cars suck or not. For those of you that noticed, we're bringing back the hello lads intro, even though I was getting triggered comments because people were getting triggered that I'd stopped doing it. They're getting triggered both ways, so I figured we'll keep the hello lads. So for all you ladies out there, you're lads from